It is officially August. It's time to update our 2025 fantasy football running back rankings. Let's start with the S tier here. We've got Gibbs and we've got Bijan in the S tier, and then we have Saquon in the A tier. I'll go ahead and talk about all three of these guys here real quick. When you're comparing the production for Gibbs, Bijan, and Saquon, obviously last year this was the running backs 1, 2, and 3. Keep in mind, in PPR leagues, Jahmyr Gibbs was actually the running back 1. The reason that we're going to take Gibbs or Bijan over Saquon Barkley every single time can be found in our algorithm and our player database. Upside score for all three of these guys is a 10. Floor score is a 9, 10, and a 9. 10, 9, and a 10. The only 9 is Bijan's floor is a little bit lower, but again, still elite floor. Risk scores, 4 for Gibbs, 1 for Bijan, 7 for Saquon. Significantly lower risk with the first two guys, but the same amount of upside, and it's pretty much the same amount of floor as well. And so given that, when you look at weeks 10 through 18, actually, of 2024, Gibbs was the 1, 23.6 points per game. Bijan was the 2, 22.5 points per game. And Saquon was 3, 22.3. These guys have the exact same scoring upside. They're scoring almost the exact same amount of points. One is far riskier than the other. Saquon is far riskier than Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs, just with the injury history that he has and also his age. Bijan and Gibbs are just a little bit safer. And so we're going to take Gibbs and Bijan over Saquon this year. Again, we're not telling you not to draft Saquon, obviously, but that's just how we have these top three guys ranked. Wanted to get that out of the way as we get into the meat and potatoes of the rankings, starting with the B tier here.
Yeah, so with the B tier, we're going to start with Ashton Jeanty. I think one of the biggest things with Jeanty that a lot of people might be concerned with is, hey, are we going to see another season of rookie season Bijan, right? Bijan, my bad. With Bijan, his rookie season, Arthur Smith calling the plays there, splitting carries with Tyler Algier. Pause right there. There ain't no way that Ashton Jeanty is going to be splitting carries with anyone at the level of Tyler Algier because, number one, Pete Carroll's not stupid. And number two, there isn't anyone, admittedly, that's nearly as good as Tyler Algier. Like, Tyler Algier does have some juice, actually. So with Jeanty, I mean, they drafted him as like a top 6 pick, and they expect to use him, and we expect him to be utilized like crazy in that offense. I mean, there's a lot of guys there in the receiving room that are making some noise. Dante Thornton, obviously, is getting a lot of training camp buzz, training camp news. But Geno Smith does have his limitations as a passer, and I don't think they're going to come out and throw the ball 35 times a game to Thornton, Besh, and Bowers and Myers. Like, that's a competent wide receiver core. That's a competent overall receiving core with Bowers included. But, like, this is an offense. This is a classic Pete Carroll offense that is going to want to run the ball first and run the ball heavy. If you saw some of the data that we put out a couple of videos ago about Pete Carroll offenses historically, about half the time you've got a top 3 rushing offense in terms of like total rushing attempts. And I think you're going to have another year this year where Jeanty, with the talent level that he offers, is really going to get that level of volume. Like, I think he'll get top 5 volume in the NFL among running backs. And I haven't even mentioned his receiving upside. I think his receiving upside is being a little overlooked as well. Jeanty, in his 2023 usage in college, had like elite level receiving usage and elite level efficiency as a receiver as well, like on a per reception basis. That went down in 2024 because schematically, like, it didn't make any sense for them to utilize Jeanty that way when they were literally like doubling a running back in the secondary. Like, they were doubling Jeanty when he was lining up as a receiver because he was so lethal that way. And they were so successful with him as a true runner that they fed him carries all year long at Boise State. Now you've got him in a situation in the NFL where, like, they're going to be able to scheme up opportunities for him to get opportunities in the receiving game that are going to resemble that of 2023, not that of 2024. So again, if you're into Jeanty as a prospect and looked into that specifically, I wouldn't look at the 24 numbers. I'd look at 23, probably find a nice in between and see some good usage there. Derrick Henry, CMC, 2 old farts that are not old in terms of their production. I mean, they could be young and spry for all I care. They're scoring the same amount of points as these guys up top. They're obviously are going to have higher risk profiles. CMC is going to have one of the highest risk profiles among running backs across the board that's going to be like relevant this season in fantasy, but he legit could outscore Gibbs, Bijan, and Saquon. He could easily finish as a running back 1. We just can't rank him any higher than this because he missed basically all of last season, and when he came back, he looked pretty slow as well because he wasn't fully healthy. He does look fully healthy this year, though, and injury after injury after injury already piling up for San Fran on the offensive side of the ball, where he legit might just be the last man standing. Derrick Henry, like I already mentioned, why is Derrick Henry going to stop producing?
He's old. He's washed.
Yeah, we've been saying that for 5 years, guys. He ain't going to stop until he decides to stop. He is one of the best running backs that we've ever seen. Like, he's a true certified Hall of Famer. He will continue to produce this year. And again, with age comes just just comes natural risk of potentially missing time. But again, historically, like, he hasn't missed that much time. He missed a half season like 3 years ago, and he hasn't really missed anything since then. They're bringing down a snap share opportunity and just giving him the ball when he's on the field pretty much the whole time that he's on the field, and he's going to continue to get that opportunity this year in Baltimore. Devon Achane, also, again, risky. You get the point here. You got a rookie who is unproven. That gives automatic risk. Henry CMC, old, risk. Achane has some injury history, a little bit, risk, but also his production is kind of directly tied to Tua and if he's on the field, which is very, very risky as well. Again, if you could tell me that Tua Tagovailoa was going to be healthy for the entire season, Achane, I would consider putting in the S tier, because he put up that level of production last season when Tua was on the field. So don't sleep on any of these guys in the B tier. We're not sliding any of them. It is literally just because their risk as individuals are higher than everybody else above them.
We have been drafting these guys on our mock drafts. You can draft against our bots, but also you have the best ADP in the industry. It's completely free to use. You can get in the link in the comments. Unlock the mock drafts. We have our rankings down there as well, so all the rankings in the video plus all the other positions. You can access all that for free at flockfantasy.com/domain. If you use code domain, obviously you can get that season pass as well and get in a league with us and unlock literally everything for the entire season. But check that out. Links in the comments. Literally the best deal we ever offered. It's $34 for everything. Literally everything we have. Yeah. Until December. We have you covered for the entire redraft season. So make sure you check that out in the link in the pinned comment. C tier. I want to remind you here real quick, because I know I'm going to get this comment and I'm just going to paste this timestamp. If you're getting sent to this timestamp, you clearly didn't listen. C tier. The rule for tiers is if you want to take any of the players in a tier over another player in a tier, that's what the tier is for. These are all guys we would take over each other. And so, for example, Bucky is first in this tier, Chase Brown is second. If you're like, oh, I would much rather have Chase Brown over Bucky, then we're saying that's fine. We're putting the same tier. If you're like, oh, it's egregious that you have Jacobs over JT, they're in the same tier. And so move them around any way you want, and we totally agree, okay? So that's the rule with tiers. For this tier, let's look at all these guys' again, upside, floor, and risk scores based on the algorithm that we have put out for you over on the site. Bucky Irving, we'll start here. He has, everybody here has an 8 in terms of their upside score, except for Kyron. He has a 10 at upside and a 10 at floor, which makes Kyron Williams the highest upside, highest floor guy here. It makes Kyron Williams probably the best pick in this range when you're talking about analytically, because when you're looking at some of the other guys that compare to those upside and risk scores, you're talking about Josh Jacobs, Jonathan Taylor, and those guys have risk scores of 8. And so Kyron Williams is a little bit safer than those guys. I will come out and say I do think Josh Jacobs, although mathematically we calculated his risk to be an 8, I still would grade him a little bit lower there. Now, again, Bucky Irving, obviously very high upside, right? A high upside. He's playing in an offense that's going to score a ton of points this year with a good quarterback. His floor is a little bit lower than some of these other guys, which I think is understandable, but he's the safest pick here. Not hands down, not even close. Nobody here compares in terms of the safety of Bucky Irving. He is safe as safe gets. Yeah. He's probably going to stay healthy. He has no risk of injury, and that we know of. Obviously, everybody has risk of injury, but he doesn't have a history of injury. And in terms of his week-to-week on-field production, he's going to be in an offense that is scoring points a lot. And so he is the safest pick in this range. Josh Jacobs, in my opinion, is the upside pick. I think that Josh Jacobs has as much upside as a Kyron Williams, right? And so even though their scores are different, I like Josh Jacobs this year because he is playing in, again, another good offense. The Packers offense, when you're comparing the offenses on here, obviously the ones that stand out are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Green Bay Packers, the Rams, and the Bengals. And we just really, I left out the Colts there, so I was kind of just taking a dig at the Colts. But yeah. Josh Jacobs, the Packers offense is consistently a top 10 offense in the NFL, and so I like Josh Jacobs here a lot. Jonathan Taylor, again, we like him. Upside, super high. Floor, super high. Upside is crazy high. The risk is crazy. He gets injured a lot. Say JT has had, trouble staying healthy. We know this as Colts fans.
3 years.
He misses a lot of games, and he's playing in the worst offense in this tier. Pretty much hands down. And so that's pretty much our gripe with him. Kyron Williams, again, highest upside, highest floor here. He's a good pick in the second round this year. We really like him. And then Chase Brown, who, again, he has a little bit of a lower floor score, similar to how Bucky Irving has a 7. He has a 7 as well. And he's higher risk as well. But Chase Brown, there's nobody else there for the most part. And so I think he's going to, and he got a ton of points. He's playing in a super high octane offense. And so I think that's reason enough for us to rank him here in the C tier with the rest of these guys.
So I guess it's popular to fade Chuba Hubbard this year. And honestly, I don't really know why, because when you look at all the other guys in this tier, I don't think that he has a lower ceiling than any of them do. And honestly, his floor is quite a bit higher in an offense that's looking to be quite a bit better than it was last season. And he was productive in that offense last season as well. You're looking at an offense in Carolina where they added Ted McMillan. Hopefully Xavier Legette can take a step up. Hopefully Bryce Young can continue what he did at the end of last season, looking pretty solid. Look, with Chuba, guys, at the top of the F tier here, he honestly, in our eyes, is pretty safe. And when you're looking at the algo, I mean, his reliability score is right middle of the pack there, and his risk score, like, he missed a game or two at the end of last season, but like he for getting a bell cow workload for the first time in his entire career, for him to stay on the field for like almost the entire time was very, very impressive, very solid, and he didn't really show any signs of slowing down. So in terms of volume alone, like, I think you got to respect Chuba going. I think he deserves to go in the 4th round of fantasy drafts this season, basically, is what I'm saying. Travion Henderson going pretty often in the 5th round, but we're much higher on him this year. I do think this again, for a rookie, is going to be projection, but his skill set is that of a guy who's going to be utilized as a pass catching running back, as well as getting significant volume in the run game. You obviously have the concern of Ramondre Stevenson potentially eating into his workload early in the season. But if we've learned anything from the Ramondre Stevenson experiment, it's that he can get a lot of volume when he's the only guy in that room, and he fumbles the ball a lot, and he's pretty inefficient, like very, very inefficient. I don't think Vrabel's going to be patient with Ramondre for long, if they even give him much opportunity to begin with anyways. Henderson was touted as like the best pass protecting running back in this class. In 2024, or 2025. So I think he's going to have a really solid season here with Drake May. And then James Cook, obviously the big news with him out of training camp is he's now quit training camp after starting to go and practice and participate. Now he's not. That honestly is going to be a big reason for why we're a little bit lower on James Cook is like, hey, if he's going to miss a lot of time in training camp and he's not fully dedicated to this team, like when he's already a regression candidate in terms of like his touchdown levels last year compared to like the actual opportunity that he got in that offense, like it doesn't add up efficiency wise that like this is going to maintain. He will have to be more efficient as a receiver or more efficient as a runner if he wants to be just as productive as he was last season, unless you're just projecting he's going to get the same amount of touchdowns that he got last year. Then another rookie in Caleb Johnson, who admittedly has struggled a little bit in camp. He needs to work on pass pro. That's the biggest thing potentially keeping him off the field. But in a run heavy offense, they can just they can put him on the field without him ever having to pass pro and just give him carries and volume and opportunity, and he can produce at a pretty high level in an Arthur Smith offense. James Conner is the only reason he's not going a tier above this is because you have concerns that Trey Benson might start eating into that workload a little more than he did his rookie season. But Conner last year, I mean, James Conner, with the exception of like Derrick Henry and Alvin Kamara, has got to be one of the best aged running backs that I've seen in quite a while. He seems to get better every single year, like as a true running back at the NFL level. And just like his efficiency has gone up. I mean, since his 3.7 yards per carry season in 2021, where he was the RB5 and one of the biggest regression candidates, his touchdowns were cut in half, and his efficiency and receiving usage went up the 3 years following. And when you look at the points per game, like he's been doing the same, and if not better. So last year in 2024 was like the best true running season that we've seen for James Conner ever. Like he had the most rushing yards that he's ever had. He was very efficient, and he's just phenomenal, getting solid receiving usage as well. 8.8 yards per reception on like 47 receptions. So there's really, really good work there. And then Kenneth Walker, we've said our piece about Kenneth Walker. He can't stay healthy. If you told us that he would stay healthy all season, he would be probably 2 tiers up from here because he has so much juice and he's so fun to watch. He's already injured in training camp right now. He has already missed multiple practices with a foot injury. Go freaking figure. And then another rookie running back here, day 2, RJ Harvey, a receiving skill set running back who is a very solid runner as well. Good prospect out of college. He's an older prospect, but Sean Payton been speaking very highly of him. And yeah, you have the concern of J.K. Dobbins potentially eating into that workload. But again, very similar to how they schemed up Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram back in the day and Sean Payton's New Orleans Saints offenses. I think you're going to see Harvey and Dobbins kind of look like that as well, where you've got the upside opportunity with Harvey, but you are going to have a pretty low floor for him as well. So keep that in mind if you are investing in Harvey. He is more of a riskier pick this season.
Unveiling the G tier here of Quinshawn Judkins, David Montgomery, Aaron Jones, and Joe Mixon. We'll talk about all of these guys kind of compared to each other. First of all, the upside guys. Joe Mixon and Quinshawn Judkins are pretty much inarguably have the highest upside of any of these guys, right? They have more upside than Monty and Jones do. And so really what you're looking at here with Mixon is we have him as an 8 in upside, a 9 in floor, and a 10 in risk, or sorry, a 7 in risk, and he should be a 10 in risk at this point. I think he is one of the riskiest picks in fantasy football. I think there's a good chance he doesn't do anything this season. That injury is no joke. And so Mixon is risky. The problem with this tier, because all of these guys have very high upside. Monty has low end running back one upside.
This is tough to do.
Judkins does as well. Joe Mixon has running back 1 upside. Aaron Jones has high end running back 2 upside. All of them are risky. Aaron Jones has a history of injury of the last couple of years. David Montgomery has a history of injury of the last couple of years. Quinshon Judkins punched somebody, and Joe Mixon already has an injury this year. All of them are super risky picks, which is why, again, when you get down to this point, these guys are your running back 3. If you're picking any of these guys as your running back 2, sure, they have all the upside in the world this year, but the problem is they are all very risky in terms of their mathematically calculated risk based on their injury, based on off the field, other things like that. All of them are at a 9 or higher at this point.
This is why you should be locking in running back early.
Locking running back early because you get down here and yeah, sure, you have they're great upside. They're all risky. And so every single one of these guys, though, are good picks to be your running back 3. I think my favorite in this range is probably Montgomery at this point. I think, playing in the best offense, you have to pick out the guys here. I think Montgomery's going to be playing the best offense this year. You can make an argument for Aaron Jones as well, but Aaron Jones does have lower upside and a lower floor, and so that makes him a little bit more hit or miss on a week-to-week basis. So all these guys, again, are going to be running back 3 contenders on your team if you draft your team correctly.
So the H tier doesn't get any prettier, but you do have equivalent upside guys here. They're just even more shaky with DeAndre Swift up top. Look, DeAndre Swift, you know exactly what his upside is, even in bad offenses. Any given week, he can put up 20-plus points. But how often will that be in an offense where Ben Johnson, ironically, is now running that offense again, and the Lions moved on from Swift pretty much because of Ben Johnson and how he realized what his limitations were. So this season, what's it going to be? Is it going to be Swift and then Roschon and then mix in a little Monungai? Is it going to be a 3-way split? With all of those running backs, we don't really know. What we do know is that Swift has a receiving upside. He's the most consistent receiving back there, which does raise his ceiling quite a bit. B-Rob is really just a guy there in Washington. And I will say, the Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt stuff is legit, and there is an avenue where Krosky-Merritt could start eating into the opportunity in that backfield, not just for B-Rob, but everyone else, because he's been looking really solid in camp. That being said, the odds are still against him because he was like a 7th round, maybe even undrafted guy. I think he was a 7th round pick. And with B-Rob last season, he was touchdown or bust. So essentially this year, you're hoping that B-Rob can fend off everyone else in that backfield, which isn't saying much because there's not really any talent there at all. And you just have to hope that he keeps getting touchdowns and opportunities in the red zone. Isaiah Pacheco, probably the riskiest running back pick that isn't an irrelevant guy. Pacheco could come out and he could reestablish himself as the RB1 in that offense and not look back and finish as a high-end running back too. That's very, very possible. He could also split a backfield 3 ways with Kareem Hunt and Brashard Smith. And again, outside of that leg break last year, he has had other injuries dating back to when he came into the league as well. You're heading into Isaiah Pacheco's 4th year, and it's not really it's as ugly as it's ever been for Pacheco, and it's as shaky as it's ever been for him this season. Even if you're high on Pacheco this year, you have to admit there are no guarantees with him this season. Tony Pollard had top 10 volume last year, top 10 opportunity, and he barely sniffed running back 2 numbers. That being said, if he can continue that volume this season, hopefully in a better offense with Cam Ward, maybe that'll open up the field for him and he can be more effective. I would say less is probably more with Pollard this year. So with the volume you saw last season, you're probably not going to see again this year. Hopefully he can be more efficient though. So. Cam Scatteraboo, the big news out of training camp right now is that he just had a hamstring injury. That is not how we want to see someone start the season. Literally not a running back or a wide receiver, anyone. Hamstring injury, not what you want to see. But still, we're going to bet on him being the guy over Tyron Tracy throughout the course of the season. They'll probably start out splitting a backfield, though. So, again, he's not super safe this year. The injury doesn't make him any safer. Zach Charbonnet, technically backing up Kenneth Walker, but not really, because what you're hearing out of camp is that Charbonnet is getting increased workload with the first team as well, and probably going to get increased workload on a week-to-week basis this season with Walker really not being able to stay healthy. So he's honestly, his floor is a little bit higher than I think it has been ever with him contending for snaps with Kenneth Walker. Trey Benson backing up James Conner, and then Tank Bigsby is really seeming to separate himself from ETN and Tootin right now in camp. So that's something you'll want to continue to keep an eye on. I think both these guys, Benson and Bigsby, could be some interesting plays that aren't pretty, but they really could pay off. I think Bigsby probably has the higher floor. Benson has the higher ceiling.
In the I tier, we'll start with Tracy. Tracy could be a riser because of the Scadaboo injury. And so, obviously, again, he's a guy that we probably don't want to draft anyway because he's in a bad offense. And people are going to say, oh, you told us not to draft Tracy. Look where he's at. Well, sorry, we can't predict when Scadaboo gets injured. That's just something that you can never predict injury. And so, with Tracy, we might have to move him up our rankings if, Cam Scadaboo actually does miss time. And it's a hamstring injury, and it's pretty lingering as well. J.K. Dobbins, I think he's a good pick in the 9th, 10th round of your fantasy football drafts just because he could get some early work there. Obviously, he has risk as well with his past injuries. Jaden Blue, I think he's going to end up being the starter there in Dallas, and so we're going to have him as the first Dallas running back, but there's still situational uncertainty, and so we need to kind of temper our expectations because of that. Tyjae Spears, obviously a tier behind Pollard here, but who knows how much they actually use Tyjae. I do think they still like Tyjae there. And again, not a very good rushing offense, so it's not much to talk about anyways. Travis Etienne looks like the running back 2 right now behind Tank Bigsby. And so in terms of drafting these guys, Etienne's probably going to have the second most value at the beginning of the season, even though we think that Tootin has a shot to take over that job here in the middle of the season. And then Jordan Mason, again, another backup running back, another handcuff, but I think he has plenty of upside, and I also think he has more well-rounded skill set than a lot of these other backup running backs. And so all of these guys are drafting basically to fill out as the last running back on your roster, as well as the guys here in the J tier.
Yeah, so J tier, Bashul Tootin. He's the fresh legs in Jacksonville's offense, or in the Jacksonville's running back room, but he has seemed to be really struggling in camp, which is unfortunate. He may have to earn his way, like once we get real play opportunity in the middle of the season. He's probably going to end up being a better waiver pickup potentially. But who knows? He could take over in training camp, and I could be totally wrong. He is being drafted right now in fantasy drafts, so there is still some upside there. Jerome Ford, really your handcuff to Quinshon Judkins. I would recommend getting Ford if you can, if you're going to draft Judkins in like the last round of your fantasy draft to kind of bridge or shore up that risk a little bit. Jalen Warren as well, just backing up Caleb Johnson. He might get more opportunity than expected initially if Caleb can't figure out pass pro. Rashad White, handcuffed to Bucky Irving. I will say with Rashad White, he probably has the highest ceiling of any of these guys in the J tier, with the exception of probably Javonte, I guess. But Rashad White actually had productive games with Bucky Irving towards the end of last season when Bucky was producing at a high level. Rashad White can still produce. He still can have some good games. And then again, he is that insurance play. Najee Harris is walking at training camp. That's all I got for that. Javonte Williams could potentially be the running back 1 there in Dallas. We're betting on Blue. Right now, we're not counting on Jerry going out and trading for a running back right now, but you never know. But again, for all intents and purposes, Blue in the I tier. Javonte did have some productive weeks last year, but it wasn't pretty. He's very inefficient. Ramondre backing up Henderson. When he does get the ball, good chance that he's going to fumble it. But again, there could be some volume there in what we expect to be a run-heavy offense in New England.
So again, all of these guys that are in tiers can be moved around any way you want to. Obviously, their rankings is very subjective, and so your opinion is going to be different than our opinion. Let us know in the comments who you think we're a little bit too high or too low. We'd love to hear from you. Make sure, if you play fantasy football, drop a like, and please make sure you're subscribed. If we hit 50K in the season, we might get matching tattoos. Nathan's on the fence about it. I'm going to get the matching tattoo, and I'm going to make Nathan get it as well. And so make sure you drop a like so we have to watch his reaction to that, or subscribe, rather, because we need to hit 50K. Season pass is available to you at the link in the pinned comment. We appreciate you guys, and we'll see you later.